Okay, let's get more on this ceasefire agreement by Israel and Hamas. We're joined by Khalil Sayegh. He's a political analyst and co-founder of the Agora initiative. Khalil, always good to see you. Thanks very much for taking time.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Yeah, we just heard Rami talk about the joy and the hope, but it's really difficult when you see the situation behind him, and just as difficult, I'm sure, for the families of loved ones in Israel. So let's talk about this ceasefire ready to take effect on Sunday. We have witnessed the bloodiest, most violent fighting between Israel and Hamas ever. What's your take on this measure? It seems like neither side is going to get exactly what it wanted.
Yeah, this looks like a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, people has been awaiting for a really long time. Not only the people in Gaza who have been experiencing what many international organizations have considered a genocide, but also the families of the hostages who have been waiting to hear good news of the release of their family members. The deal that is proposed today and been agreed to is the same deal that the Biden administration has submitted in May 2023, which raises the question of what we were waiting for since May 23. Why all these dead people in Gaza when this deal could literally be reached, a very similar one in May of 2023?
Yeah, and clearly the number of the hostages have passed away since May of 2023 as well. But we should point out that fighting is still going on. We heard Rami talk about 100 people who have been killed since this measure was technically okayed on Wednesday.
Yes, the fighting has been going on, although Hamas's capabilities has been really degraded since the war started on October 7th, 2023. Israel has really devastated the Gaza Strip in general and weakened Hamas really very strongly. But insurgency has been going on, and wherever there are Israeli forces, especially in the north part of the Gaza Strip, there is still ambushes by Hamas, and this continues. But I think the most deadly attacks has been happening in the last 3 days have been of targeted airstrikes of Israeli forces on Palestinian civilians inside their homes, both in Gaza City, Khan Yunis, and other areas of the Strip as well.
Okay, so how does the ceasefire agreement, what's it going to do to the economic situation in Gaza in the short term? And what about the dozens of Israeli hostages who are not part of the first tranche of hostages to be released? What are you hearing? Is this going to happen? Will they be freed?
So the economy of Gaza, even before the war has started, has been devastated. Over 70% of Gaza has been unemployed because of the siege that Israel has issued after the Hamas takeover in 2007. The situation has already been hard. And right now, with this devastating situation where we have the estimation of the reconstruction of Gaza and rebuilding the economy is about $50 billion, we have complete lack of facilities. There are no education system anymore. There are no banking systems. There are no schools, etc. So there is a lot of issues to deal with in the economy here. Food wasn't accessible, and thus, you know, even the cash, Israel didn't allow cash into Gaza during this war. So all these things have to be rebuilt from scratch. When it comes to the hostages, we are hoping that we will see in the next week the release of the 33 hostages, especially the civilians and women who are soldiers, but some of whom might be dead actually, because the agreement does not specify if they are dead and alive. As regard to the 65 other hostages, most of whom are soldiers, it's still up in the air, and we are not sure if we will move to phase 2 of the agreements or it would be stopped before then.
Okay, and also we have to factor in the fact that Israel didn't get everything it wanted, and that is thoroughly to destroy Hamas. Much like Gaza, this organization could emerge from the ashes. Of course, as you just mentioned, it has been severely affected.
Correct. Yeah, Hamas has really managed to survive this, and I think the main issue of why Hamas managed to survive it, not because the Israeli military is weak or because they didn't attack enough. I think that the issue is that to really control Hamas, you have to provide an alternative for governments in Gaza. But for 15 months, Israel have provided no alternative to the Gazans, and thus they end up with anarchy where Hamas re-emerges. And whenever you are bombing more and more, killing more and more people, we are start seeing more and more people joining Hamas. It's been reported by even Secretary Blinken, who said that they estimate that about 12,000 Palestinians joined Hamas since October 7th, which means it's almost the same number as the numbers of Hamas members who were killed in Gaza, according to the Israeli military, which is astonishing, that 15 months and it got us nowhere.
Okay, you talked about rebuilding some $50 billion. where do you even start? How is rebuilding going to play out? And what is it going to mean to the legions of people still living there, suffering there?
Yeah, so we have to be clear that the first phase of the agreement is 42 days. It does not include rebuilding, but it does include very much needed aid. About 600 trucks will start getting into Gaza. Stage two, where we will see a complete withdrawal of the Israeli military. Stage three, it's supposed to be the reconstruction. And the reconstruction in the agreement, what the details are very vague. It's not very clear how it would happen. There are some details that the UN and others will take care of that to be part of it. However, realistically speaking, the Arab countries and other donor countries who probably should donate in order to reconstruct Gaza have conditioned before very clearly that they don't want to donate to a project that will be destroyed again by Israel, and thus they connected to a political solution. However, the longer Israel rejects political solution, that's harder, and the longer Hamas stays in Gaza, that's hard. Yeah. If Hamas continue to exist in Gaza and govern by itself, we will see a siege again on Gaza, and we will see probably a war in a few years from now, and I think donors wouldn't be as excited to invest in Gaza to reconstruct.